My husband had just passed away, and my own children were already trying to shove me off to a nursing home. Meanwhile, they welcomed my husband's long-cherished love into our home. My son said, "Mom, Dad's will left the house to Auntie Sia. She's like a real mother to us, and we have a duty to take care of her." My daughter said, "Mom, Auntie Sia knows better than you how to raise children. A nursing home is the best place for you." I was so enraged I couldn't catch my breath, and died right then and there from sheer fury. Only after I died did I learn that my husband and children had long since betrayed me. In their eyes, only Sia Miling mattered. They saw me as nothing but a useless, old-fashioned hag. Every year, they would deliberately leave me behind on family trips, only to secretly bring Sia Miling along instead. I died with immense resentment. When I opened my eyes again, I had gone back to a time before my husband was diagnosed with terminal cancer. This time, I'm done with my scumbag husband and my ungrateful children. I want nothing to do with them. For the rest of my life, I'm going to live for myself. Mom, we'll be home by 5 p.m. Hurry up and go to the market to buy the ingredients for our favorite dishes. You need to have everything cooked before we get back. Before I could even respond, the call was disconnected. I clutched my phone tightly and looked up at the calendar. A wave of utter shock washed over me. I actually reincarnated. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and tried to accept the truth, but the moment my eyes shut, the suffocating pain of my husband's betrayal and my children's backstabbing overwhelmed me once more, and I broke down sobbing. It was the 7th day after Zhao Qingshan's passing, and I was at home sorting through his belongings. By chance, I found a photo album in a box he had never let me touch. The pictures inside looked like family portraits. Yet, I was in none of them. Yet there was another woman. Her hair was silver, and her smile was as gentle as a spring breeze. She carried herself with an elegant grace, her dress a perfect statement of style. She was none other than Sia Miling, the unattainable white moonlight of Zhao Qingshan's youth. A wave of confusion and anger washed over me. I looked closely at the date on each photo. It coincided perfectly with the time of our annual family trip, yet, every single year, I would come down with a sudden stomach bug right before departure, preventing me from going. Who on earth was deliberately keeping me from going? Is it my husband, or my children? As I was lost in thought, my children came home. "Mom, you need to pack your things. I'm taking you to the nursing home." "What do you mean? Why should I go to a nursing home?" I demanded of Zhao Qingyu. His face darkened as he tossed a document at me. "This is Dad's will. It clearly states that this house is to be given to Auntie Sia. If it weren't for Auntie Sia tutoring us when we were kids, how could we have ever gotten into university? A teacher for a day is a mother for life. Auntie Sia is like our own mother, and we have a duty to take care of her." I clutched my chest and pointed at my son. "If she's your real mother, then what does that make me? Of course you're still our mother. We just think it's best for you to live somewhere else." I turned to my daughter, my heart sinking, hoping she would stand up for me. But she just said, "Mom, Auntie Sia is more educated than you. She knows better how to raise a child. A care home is the best place for you now. You all." My heart feels shattered, the pain so deep I can hardly breathe. I tirelessly cared for my terminally ill husband day and night until his peaceful passing. Yet, he had long since written a will, leaving the home we shared to an old flame. My children's heartlessness brought tears that blurred my vision. A wave of disappointment washed over me, plunging me into darkness. I couldn't catch my breath. I collapsed to the ground, dying of sheer rage. As my eyes closed for the last time, I heard them mutter, "What bad luck." A violent knocking at the door jerked me back from the agonizing memories of my past life. I opened the door and saw, it was their whole family returning. Just like every year, they dropped their luggage, told me to sort it out, and then rushed straight to the dining room. In less than a second, Zhao Qingyu started shouting, "Mom, where's the food? Didn't you make any?" I said coldly, "That's right, I didn't do it." My son's face fell, and he said angrily, "Why not? I gave you plenty of time to prepare. Are you trying to starve us all?" "I just didn't want to do it." "Okay, is that not allowed?" Sensing my anger, they all looked at me with strange expressions. "Mom, what's gotten into you? Why are you so angry?" I let out a bitter laugh. "Yeah, I must be out of my mind." I took out Zhao Qingshan's treasured photo album and threw it on the floor. I stared at him and demanded loudly, "Zhao Qingshan, you take Sia Miling on every summer trip. What exactly am I to you?" The unflappable composure on Zhao Qingshan's face shattered into visible fury. He snatched up the photo album with lightning speed, dusted it off, and cradled it in his arms like a precious treasure. His face darkened with displeasure. "Who gave you permission to enter my study? Who said you could touch my things?" I let out a short, bitter laugh. tilting my head back to keep the tears at bay. Jia Qingshan, you swapped my motion sickness pills for laxatives on purpose, didn't you? You made sure I couldn't go, so you could take Xia Meiling sightseeing instead. Jia Qingshan was instantly stricken with guilt. He averted his gaze, unable to look me in the eye. Mom, when did you find out? Zhao Qingyu blurted out. Then hastily covered his mouth. I had intended to sound out Zhao Qingshan, but to my surprise, I saw guilt rather than shock on everyone else's faces. So everyone already knew the motion sickness pills were actually laxatives, so no one wanted me to come along. Heartbreak and disappointment turned into a sharp blade, piercing every fiber of my being. My daughter tried to smooth things over. Mom, don't be angry. I glared at her. Not be angry, should I be grateful you slipped me laxatives? My son said impatiently, Mom, Auntie Xia treats us like her own children, she tutors us for free, without any conditions, we owe her a huge debt of gratitude, taking her on a trip is the least we can do, can you please stop being so unreasonable? The expressions on Zhao Qingshan and Zhao Huiman's faces were proof enough that they agreed with Zhao Qingyu. Trembling with rage, I said, fine, from now on, Xia Meiling is your real mother, if you want to eat, go ask her to cook. I turned and went back to my room, packed a few things quickly, and came back out. Zhao Qingshan, I want a divorce. Lu Yue, it's just a trip, is it really that big of a deal? We'll take you next time, you're 57 years old, stop making a scene. Put down your luggage and go make dinner. Exactly, my children chimed in from the side. Auntie Xia never had any children of her own, we only took her on the trip because we were worried she might get depressed, we were just trying to do a good thing. Mom, stop this nonsense and go cook, the whole family is starving, I'm making a scene, was raising them not a blessing in itself, was I born just to sacrifice everything for them? Why should it be? I am a person, not their slave. At this moment, I am truly grateful to the heavens for granting me a second chance, allowing me to see their true, ungrateful nature with absolute clarity. I shook off Zhao Qingshan's hand and glared at him. I'm not being unreasonable, I am determined to get this divorce, perhaps because I've always been so compliant. My sudden outburst made them think I'd lost my mind. Dad, just let her go, Zhao Qingyu said, his patience completely gone. Where's an uneducated old country woman like her supposed to go without us? She'll wander around for a bit and come crawling back. Exactly, Mom's 57. What use is an old woman like that to society anyway? Her only job is cooking at home. If she won't cook, we'll just order takeout. It's not like the world stops turning without her. My heart grew colder and colder, just as I opened the door. My grandson suddenly called out to me, Grandma, are you really leaving? I practically raised this grandson of mine since he was born, and I poured all my love into him. I wanted to tell him to be a good boy, that I'd come back to see him, but before I could say a word, I saw him clapping his little hands excitedly. Great, pretty Granny can come live at my house. Grandpa, Mom, Dad, and Auntie don't like Granny, they say she's old-fashioned. I don't like Granny either, she's mean, she won't let me have candy, but pretty Granny will buy me candy and ice cream. I like pretty Granny the most. I scanned the faces of everyone in the room. They all looked guilty at first, but quickly regained their composure. It's clear they often speak ill of me behind my back. Good, I can leave without any regrets now. That's right, your lovely grandmother will be moving in here soon. I checked into a hotel nearby, dragging my suitcase along. I gazed out the window at the sea of twinkling lights from countless homes. Memories of the past began to surface in my mind. Unbidden, back then, my family lived right next door to Zhao Qingshan's. I was 3 years younger than Zhao Qingshan, and from a very young age, I admired this diligent, studious older boy next door. I know he used to date Xia Meiling. That year, my uncle the village head celebrated the birth of his grandson and held a feast for the villagers. Zhao Qingshan's father, who had a drinking problem, had way too much to drink. On the way home, he accidentally fell and broke his leg. His mother had always been in poor health and stayed at home to recuperate. With the family's income suddenly cut off, Zhao Qingshan had no choice but to drop out of school and find work. It was at this very moment that Xia Meiling broke up with him and moved with her family to the provincial capital. I actually had the chance to continue my studies. I have no idea how Zhao Qingshan figured out I had feelings for him. He even took the initiative and proposed to me. I was so love-struck back then. Even though my family warned me he only wanted to marry me so I could take care of his sick parents, I went ahead and married him without a second thought. Knowing how much he longed to continue his studies, I gave him my entire dowry so he could go back to school. He made us proud by getting into the best university in the province. Faced with the high tuition, he wanted to give up, but I encouraged him not to. As for the tuition and living expenses, I told him I'd figure it out. I set up a wonton stall on the street. With that stall, I not only supported Zhao Qingshan through his studies without burden, but also cared for my in-laws with dignity until their passing. But I only have 2 hands. After all, I could manage the business or look after the 2 kids, but not both. Their grades were suffering. That was the most critical period for Zhao Qingshan to secure his position as a university lecturer. So he couldn't help the children with their homework either. So Zhao Qingshan went to a tutoring center to find a teacher. I unexpectedly ran into Xia Meiling again. Xia Meiling's life had taken a turn for the worse. Her family gambled away their fortune, and right after graduation, her father married her off for a bride price. She was married to an abusive man who beat her so severely she was left infertile, leading to a divorce lawsuit. After I sent my children to her for tutoring, their grades really improved. I was so pleased that I often invited her over for dinner. At the dinner table, my children always knew exactly which dishes to serve to Xia Meiling. Looking back now, the way she and Zhao Qingshan looked at each other, whether intentional or not, was particularly unsettling. A pair of old scumbags were making eyes at each other right under my nose, and I was completely oblivious. I even kept thinking of Xia Meiling as a dear, kind-hearted sister. I must have been blind and brainless. Having lived for 57 years, I feel like I've wasted my life. I don't know how much time I have left, but I'm certain I won't live this wretched life any longer. I want a divorce as soon as possible, and I'll take what's rightfully mine. As for those ungrateful wretches, since they've chosen Xia Meiling, let them be one happy family. Zhao Qingshan already has terminal cancer. It was only a matter of time before it was discovered. Don't you dare think I'll wait on you hand and foot in this lifetime. I hired a divorce lawyer. With her help, I first filed for divorce and then mailed the divorce papers to Zhao Qingshan. In less than a day, Zhao Qingshan called me. Yue, are you really divorcing me? Please don't be like this. Okay, Meiling and I have always been completely innocent. If you want to go on a trip, I'll take you right now. Just you and me. I snorted coldly. You know perfectly well whether you're innocent or not. As for the trip, I can go by myself. I signed up for a tour group. Right now, I'm on a bullet train headed to Shanghai. I've heard it's the most prosperous and fashionable place in the country. I've spent the better part of my life looking after this entire family, and all I get in return is being called ridiculous. For the rest of my days, I just want to be myself and live for me. Zhao Qingshan, stop calling me with your pointless calls. All I want now is a divorce from you, so hurry up and sign the papers. I hung up the phone and blocked his number. In less than a minute, my daughter Zhao Huimin was the first to call me. Mom, how could you bring up divorce at a time like this? You know perfectly well I'm not married yet. If people find out our family is in turmoil, my value on the marriage market will plummet. If I end up marrying into a bad family, it will be all your fault. I didn't reply with a single word. I just hung up and blocked her number. But the moment I hung up, Zhao Qingyu called me as well. I knew he wouldn't have anything nice to say, but I was morbidly curious to hear just how much worse it could get. Mom, have you lost your mind? Asking Dad for a divorce. What are you even trying to do? Do you want to humiliate both him and me? What will you eat and drink without us? Are you planning to go back to selling wontons on the street? Do you think you're still young? You don't have the stamina for that anymore. I shot back, furious and hurt. Zhao Qingyu, don't you forget, it was my wontons that put food on the table and raised you. Without my wontons, your father never would have made it through university, and you would have starved to death long ago. On the other end of the line, Zhao Qingyu was silent for a moment before speaking again. So what? That doesn't change the fact that you were the one who schemed to break up Dad and Auntie Xia. If it weren't for you, Auntie Xia would be our real mother. What are you saying? That I broke them up? Isn't that exactly what happened? Auntie Xia said it herself. Back then, you had a thing for my dad, so you got your uncle, the village chief, to get Grandpa drunk on purpose. He fell and broke his leg walking home in the dark, lost his ability to work. That's why the Xia family objected to Dad and Auntie Xia being together. So what if my sister and I prefer Auntie Xia? She's cultured and reasonable. She has vision and wisdom, not like you, who only knows how to peel garlic and gut fish, haggling over every cent for a piece of cardboard. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that is? Dad's a university professor. Are we really that hard up for a few pennies? My heart was calm. Their insults couldn't hurt me or make me feel cold inside anymore. I don't even want to explain anything. They'll only ever believe what they want to believe anyway. Since I disgust you so much, you should be all the more eager to convince your father to sign the papers. That way, your precious Xia Meiling won't end up as the shameful other woman. With that, I hung up the phone and blocked his number. I refused to let a few pieces of human garbage ruin what should be a wonderful trip. Shanghai truly lived up to my expectations. The skyline of towering buildings, dazzling fashion, and the ceaseless flow of traffic was breathtaking, as if I had stepped into a dreamland brimming with infinite possibilities. The people here, regardless of age or gender, are incredibly vibrant and full of life. Our guide was very personable, introducing our group to many things we had never seen before and foods we had never tasted. I joined a seniors travel group, and the people in it are around my age, coming from all walks of life. Even though they're also seniors, their minds are young. They say, "Who says we're useless when we're old? Only good for babysitting our grandchildren. We may not be the morning sun at 8 or 9 o'clock, but we can be the most beautiful sunset. Keep learning as long as you live." As long as there's life, there are endless possibilities. I really enjoy talking with them. They don't look down on me for being old-fashioned or uneducated. They've helped me feel like I've found myself again. I don't need to sacrifice everything for others anymore. I can just live for myself. My worth is defined by the value I place on myself, not by the passing judgments of others. After 3 days in Shanghai, our guide took us to Wuzhen and then to Shaoxing. The scenery of the Jiangnan region was truly captivating. I changed into a set of traditional attire and had a series of artistic photos taken. The photographer was brilliant, capturing me with the dignified and stately air of a noble lady from ancient times. I'm very pleased. I posted the photos on my social media feed and got a lot of likes from my friends. Before long, that whole ungrateful family started messaging me, "UAE, you're too old to be wearing a dress like that. It doesn't suit you at all, change out of it, and when you're done playing around, come home, we'll forgive your little tantrum." I replied, "What I wear is none of your damn business, and I don't need your forgiveness." "Mom, that guy next to you is so hot, can you get his WeChat ID for me?" I replied, "I'm not your servant." "Mom, you ordered a whole table of food just for yourself, can you even finish it? Could you spend a little less?" "I have a mortgage to pay," I replied. "It's my money I'm spending. What does your mortgage have to do with me? I've been frugal my whole life and have managed to save a decent amount. My son isn't quite making enough, so I chip in a little each month to help with the payments. I've also put aside a dowry for my daughter, but for now, I just want to keep my money to myself." The reason Xia Meiling can still be so stylish at her age is precisely because she doesn't have a care in the world. She spends her money on herself and does whatever she pleases to look beautiful. She could even attract a crowd of old men fawning over her just by dancing in the square. I blocked them on WeChat too. Afterwards, I signed up for another tour group, finally heading to the capital city I'd been dreaming of, Beijing. I may be getting on in years, but my stamina is as good as any young person's. I visited the Forbidden City, the Summer Palace, and the Great Wall at Badaling. Waving a small national flag in my hand, I asked a passerby to take my picture. I wanted to capture my brightest smile, create the most wonderful memories. Traveling is such a wonderful thing. No wonder they go on a trip every year. I was so foolish back then. Just because they didn't take me, did that mean I couldn't go by myself? I don't have to be the fool at home, cooking a whole table of their favorite food, waiting for them to return, and helping them unpack. From now on, let Xia Meiling handle the cooking and the tidying up. I've been out having fun for almost a month. I'm back. I ran into Xia Meiling right after getting off the plane. Xia Meiling was dressed in a water blue gown, with a small veil hat on her head, a pale yellow flower pinned to her chest, and an exquisite handbag on her arm, every inch the dignified matriarch of a wealthy family. Her well-maintained face made it impossible to tell she was already 60, one would guess her to be 50 at most. She invited me to a cafe near the airport. I'm not much of a coffee drinker, so I ordered a juice. "UAE, you've really got the wrong idea about me and Qingshan. We did date in the past, but now we're just good friends who enjoy each other's company. You've been traveling for a month now. Don't you think it's time to head home? Taking care of the kids and cooking, that's where your true value lies." She reached up to tuck a stray strand of hair behind her ear, deliberately drawing attention to the diamond stud in her earlobe and the gold bracelet on her wrist. I knew at a glance that the earrings and the gold bracelet were from Zhao Qingshan. At the time, my birthday was just a week away, and I had secretly spotted those 2 items in his drawer. I was over the moon, but on my actual birthday, Zhao Qingshan didn't give me anything. I just laid my cards on the table and asked him for it, but he said, "That's for my colleague to give to his wife. He's just keeping it here for now. It's not practical for you to wear while working. And you'd be heartbroken if you lost it." Xia Meiling was deliberately showing off, trying to get a rise out of me. "It's pointless, I don't care. How I choose to define my worth is none of your concern. I feel sorry for you, though. After 60 years on this earth, you're in your twilight years and have stooped to being the other woman. I wonder if your students would laugh at you behind your back if they knew. Xia Meiling used to be a teacher at a private tutoring center. Later, after Zhao Qingshan became a renowned professor and made many influential connections, he pulled some strings to get Xia Meiling a teaching position at the city's No. 1 Central Primary School. At her age, she still went and campaigned for the title of the city's most beautiful teacher, precisely because she was the oldest contestant. She garnered a lot of attention and votes. You're the third wheel. If I hadn't broken up with Qingshan back then, you wouldn't even be in the picture. She was furious, she was flustered. I replied calmly, then why did you break up with him in the first place? Wasn't it because you were a gold digger who couldn't handle a little hardship? Since you parted ways amicably back then, what's with all the sneaking around now? You and Zhao Qingshan are two of a kind, both trash. Xia Meiling, beside herself with rage, threw her coffee at me. I immediately poured the juice over her head and slapped her for good measure. Xia Meiling screamed. Lu Yue, if you have a problem, take it up with me. Why target Meiling? She's innocent. You must apologize to her. I hadn't expected Zhao Qingshan to show up at such a perfect moment. Seeing there was still a bit of juice left in my cup, I flung it straight into Zhao Qingshan's face without a second thought. Zhao Qingshan, you're blind and clueless. Couldn't you have checked the security footage to see if she's innocent or not? Whatever. Now's not the time to get into this with him. Him showing up on his own actually works for me, saves me the trouble. Have you signed the divorce papers? I won't sign it, and you need to stop making wild assumptions about my relationship with Meiling. There's nothing improper between us. He sighed, took my hand, and said, Yue, you've had your fun. It's time to settle down and come home with me. Everyone misses your cooking. I let out a cold, derisive snort. Do you think I'm some kind of doormat? Why on earth should I go back and cook for a bunch of ungrateful wretches? I shook off his hand and pulled several photos from my bag. And you call this innocent? The photos showed Zhao Qingshan taking Xia Meiling to a jewelry store, Zhao Qingshan taking Xia Meiling out for a candlelit dinner, and even Zhao Qingshan holding Xia Meiling in a kiss. There were even more intimate photos. With a gasp, the two of them hurriedly gathered up the photos to prevent anyone else from seeing them, lest they both ruin their reputations. Lu Yue, you hired someone to take these photos of us. Surveillance. Don't use that word. If you two hadn't been sneaking around in the first place, how would the private investigator I hired have gotten the chance to capture so many revealing photos? Yes, I've been traveling, but it hasn't exactly been a vacation. Before I left, I hired a reputable private investigator to look into everything Zhao Qingshan and Xia Meiling have been hiding from me, both past and present. It was a precaution against that hypocrite Zhao Qing, who wants to have his cake and eat it too, dragging his feet on signing the papers. I knew it. I called it. Zhao Qingshan, I suggest you sign the divorce papers and get the divorce certificate sooner rather than later. It's better for all three of us, otherwise I'll post these photos online and hire a skilled writer to expose your sordid, disgraceful little affair for the whole world to see. Let's see if the court of public opinion can drown the two of you in its outrage. Fear was written all over their faces, especially Xia Meiling's. Not only does she aspire to be the most beautiful senior teacher in the province, but she's also a locally famous fashion icon among the elderly, boasting a sizable fan base, particularly among her male admirers. Several elderly gentlemen have tipped her tens of thousands. If her public persona were to collapse, the consequences would be immeasurable. Brother Qingshan, what should we do? A single tear from his old flame sent Zhao Qingshan into a panic. Zhao Qingshan, who had come to coax me back with a submissive air, now looked utterly heartbroken. Lu Yue, you've gone too far. Fine. If you want a divorce, then I'll grant you your wish. Then sign it quickly. I took the divorce papers I always kept in my bag for this very purpose, so that if I ran into him unexpectedly, I could get him to sign on the spot. Watching him sign the document, I gave a satisfied nod and slipped the divorce papers into my bag. As I prepared to leave, I glanced back at Zhao Qingshan, who was wiping Xia Meiling's tears, and said, every piece of clothing, every handbag, and all the jewelry you've ever bought for Xia Meiling, past and present, were paid for with our marital assets. I demand she returns everything before we proceed with the asset division, otherwise, I'll file for divorce and take this to court. The whole country will know that Xia Meiling is a homewrecker, and you, the esteemed Professor Zhao, are nothing but a cheating scumbag. With a dismissive laugh, I walked out the door of the cafe. I left behind two furious, aging faces glaring after me. to save face for his beloved and himself. Zhao Qingshan cooperated fully with all the subsequent divorce proceedings. Soon enough, the day arrived for them to collect their divorce certificates. That day, at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Zhao Qingshan was dressed in a well-fitted suit, while Xia Meiling wore a festive red cheongsam, the two of them walking hand in hand. Trailing behind me were my ungrateful children. Yue, this was your own choice. If you have a hard life from now on, don't you dare complain. Brother Qingshan, don't say that. What if Yue comes begging at our door? We should still give her a bite to eat. Xia Meiling shot me a triumphant look. I smiled and said, don't worry, I won't have a single regret. Divorcing you was the best decision I ever made in my life. Zhao Qingyu looked at me with a grim expression and said, Mom, is this the last time I'll call you that? Once Dad gets the divorce papers with you, he'll marry Aunt Xia right away. From now on, she'll be my real mother, and it's my duty to be filial to her. I was thinking, I'd have been better off giving birth to a piece of char siu than this ungrateful son. Mom, it's not that I, as your daughter, don't want to help you. It's just that you're being foolish. You're throwing away the title of professor's wife and choosing to suffer alone out there. Don't blame me for being unfilial when you're sick with a cold and I'm not around, huh? What's so great about being a professor's wife anyway? Just a free nanny, that's all. And besides, even when they were around, did a single one of them ever show any concern when I had a fever or caught a cold? I still had to go to the nearby clinic myself to get medicine. Enough with the excuses. Let's just get the divorce papers. I got my divorce certificate very quickly. Before leaving, I said to them, I wish your whole family would stick together through thick and thin. Forever bound in misery, after the divorce, I enrolled in a university for seniors. I had lost the chance to learn before, and now I'm making up for it. Besides cooking, I also love painting. When I was a child, my teacher said I had a talent for painting, but unfortunately, I didn't cherish it. Life at the university for seniors is very fulfilling, and I'm happy every day. The school organized a trip for us to Beijing to visit a senior citizens painting competition. I went. That was quite a rewarding experience. Not only did I improve my painting skills, but I also made quite a few like-minded friends. After returning from Beijing, I was just about to share my travel experiences with my classmates. Unexpectedly, Zhao Huimin showed up at my door. Mom, go to the hospital and see Dad. He's so pitiful. Xia Meiling is a real piece of work. Oh, isn't Xia Meiling the dear mother you and Zhao Qingyu were so desperate to honor? How is she a piece of work now? I said with a sarcastic smile. Her face went pale, then flushed with anger. A second later, she burst into tears. How was I supposed to know she was such a good actress? She told me everything that had happened recently, all while crying. At first, their family life seemed picture perfect. They'd post on social media every other day, telling everyone how wonderful it was to have such an educated and stylish mother. However, Xia Meiling had never been one for domestic chores. She wouldn't cook their meals, let alone do their laundry. They never got a proper home-cooked meal and had to rely on takeout for every single dinner. The whole family's clothes were all thrown into the washing machine together, and the colors ran, ruining them. They began to harbor resentment towards Xia Meiling in their hearts, but with just one tear from Xia Meiling, Zhao Qingshan's heart would melt. He would immediately scold his children for being ungrateful, telling them to get out if they didn't want to live together. The house is now solely under Zhao Qingshan's name. Zhao Huimin lives paycheck to paycheck and can't afford to move out. Zhao Qingyu's house is still under renovation, so he won't be able to move out anytime soon. The two of them had no choice but to apologize to Xia Meiling. Zhao Qingshan also wanted to have a proper hot meal, so he hired a housekeeper. They've gotten used to my cooking, so the nanny's meals just don't suit their taste. They'd like to hire a better nanny, but they're not willing to pay more, so they have to make do. All the adults in the family are busy with work. Xia Meiling, the retired primary school teacher, is the one with the most free time. She doesn't need to do much, just keep an eye on the kids at home. She took the child to the mall and let him eat ice-cold treats, which ended up giving him a stomachache. He had to stay in the hospital for a full day and night before being discharged. Her daughter-in-law had a huge fight with Xia Meiling over this, and it even turned physical. If their respective husbands hadn't stepped in to stop them, someone might have gotten seriously hurt. Only then did they remember how good I was. After all, when I was around, there was hardly any arguing in the house. Once conflicts arise and go unresolved, they just keep piling up, and the arguments get louder and louder. The children could only fume in anger, as they truly lacked the financial means to move out. Zhao Qingshan was also run ragged, and the rose-tinted glasses for his white moonlight had long since shattered. In just 2 short months, he found everything about Xia Meiling grating, but he had married her, and getting a divorce wouldn't be easy. Besides, he couldn't afford the humiliation. Xia Meiling had been beautiful and proud her entire life. She wasn't one to hold back for anyone. She'd curse when she wanted, act when she needed, and spend as she pleased, never compromising her own comfort. But she was such a big spender that she completely drained Zhao Qingshan's salary account. He only realized he was broke when he wanted to buy a gift to visit his former teacher. To make matters worse, he saw that Xia Meiling had just bought a new handbag worth 50,000 yuan. His rage finally boiled over, and he slapped Xia Meiling hard across the face twice. Xia Meiling was stunned for a couple of seconds before scrambling up from the floor to fight back against Zhao Qingshan. Then, Zhao Qingshan couldn't catch his breath, clutched his chest, and collapsed to the ground. His children, returning from work, found him and rushed him to the hospital immediately. It was only then they discovered Zhao Qingshan was in the terminal stage of cancer, with no cure possible. Hearing this, I thought to myself with a sigh. The onset of Zhao Qingshan's terminal cancer had occurred a full month earlier than in my previous life. Serves you right, that's just what that whole family deserves. Xia Meiling had a good, long cry, and then went right back to her normal life, eating and drinking as usual, refusing to even visit Zhao Qingshan in the hospital. Zhao Qingyu and Zhao Huimin couldn't be as carefree as she was. He's my own elderly father. If I don't visit him, people will talk, but if I go, dealing with all the mess, they find it disgusting. Hire a caregiver. The cost is hard to swallow. This won't do, that won't do either. So of course, they thought of me. Zhao Qingyu couldn't bring himself to come to me, so Zhao Huimin came instead. Mom, after all these years with Dad, you wouldn't just leave him alone and helpless in the hospital. You'll go take care of him, right? I gave a cold laugh. I'm not going. Whether Zhao Qingshan lives or dies is none of my business. Get out. Zhao Huimin froze, her tears stopping, her face twisted into a vicious expression as she accused me. Lu Yue, you're truly heartless. That's your husband. He's just my ex-husband. I shot back. I had nothing more to say to her and shooed her out the door. Not long after she left, Zhao Qingyu showed up with his grandson. I didn't let them in. Mom, you have to go to the hospital and take care of Dad. If you hadn't insisted on divorcing him back then, he never would have married that old woman. She's turned our whole family upside down and driven Dad to the point of getting terminal cancer. Mom, you can't be so heartless. Come out, now. Ha, how pathetic. As long as their own interests weren't threatened, they were the picture of filial piety towards Xia Meiling, calling her mom at every turn. Now they call her an old hag. Utterly despicable. When I didn't respond at all, he sent his grandson to try and sweet-talk me. Grandma, I miss you. Please open the door. I'm not your grandma. Get lost, and take your father with you. Mom, don't be so ungrateful. You'd better come with me right now, or you'll never set foot outside again. The moment you try, I'll drag you straight to the hospital. Failing to get his way, Zhao Qingyu flew into a rage. He started kicking and pounding on my door, all the while hurling threats, but I had already dialed 110 and reported him for disturbing the peace. It wasn't long before he and his grandson were taken to the police station. My life is peaceful again. As the days go by, my life as a university student in my later years just keeps getting better. It's just that, from time to time, Zhao Qingshan's students come to persuade me to go see him. I really don't want to go, but they said that Zhao Qingshan's time was running out. Come to think of it, it was indeed close to the day of his death in his previous life. Alright then, consider it seeing him off on his final journey. Arriving at the hospital, I walked into that ward once more. Zhao Qingshan's gaunt frame and the stark furnishings of the hospital room almost made me believe I was still living in a past life. Yue, he called out to me weakly. Are you doing well now? You look more and more beautiful. It's as if I'm seeing the you from your youth. Back then, we were poor, but our bond was strong and we were truly happy. Yet, I didn't cherish it. As he spoke, he began to cry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I realize now that you're the one I love most. It's all Xia Meiling's fault for leading me astray. She's not the kind of woman you build a life with. Wrong. I cut him off. The person you love most is yourself. Back then, you loved yourself, so you deliberately chose to marry me. You loved yourself, so you felt perfectly justified going to school and not lifting a finger around the house. Even after you became a professor, you still only loved yourself. You never thought much of me, so you had no qualms about slipping me laxatives and shamelessly carrying on with Xia Meiling. Nowadays, you love yourself even more. You're afraid of dying, and even more afraid of dying without dignity. That's why you thought of me, wanting me to take care of you unconditionally like I used to. A look of shock and mortification crossed his face. I let out a cold snort and continued, Zhao Qingshan, oh Zhao Qingshan, stop dreaming. The world doesn't work that way. All the good fortune can't possibly land on you. Besides, we're divorced now. To me, you're nothing but a stranger. With that, I turned to leave, but Zhao Qingshan called out to me again, Yue, believe it or not, I truly am sorry. I've made a will. When I'm gone, the house will be yours alone. I just hope that in our next life, we can meet again and be husband and wife. I don't want your will. I thought about how I had slaved away for him in my past life, only for him to will the house to someone else. Now that I'm done waiting on him, he suddenly wants to give me the house. How pathetic is that? I said, Zhao Qingshan, I don't want to meet you in the next life, or the life after that. You disgust me. I didn't want to waste another word on him, so I turned and left. The sound of Zhao Qingshan's anguished wails faded behind me. That night, Zhao Qingshan almost died, but he pulled through. However, when those ungrateful children of his and Xia Meiling heard that Zhao Qingshan intended to leave the Fangshan property to me, they were furious and came to cause trouble for me again. Xia Meiling, in particular, went so far as to slander me online, calling me a homewrecker who was scheming to cheat Zhao Qingshan out of his inheritance. Uninformed netizens tore me apart online and even threw rotten eggs at my house, but I am not the person I used to be. I may not know how to fight back, but I have money. I hired college students who know their way around the internet to publish my life story online. They've hired another wave of paid trolls to aggressively manipulate the online discourse. By now, everyone knows Xia Meiling is the shameless homewrecker. Even her former students have come forward to denounce her. This also exposed how she showed favoritism and accepted bribes from students during her teaching. She's being absolutely torn apart online. Her carefully crafted personas as the most beautiful teacher and the most stylish old lady have completely collapsed. If she weren't already retired, she would undoubtedly have her teaching license revoked and face an official investigation, but she's having a rough time of it now too. She gets pelted with rotten vegetables whenever she steps outside. And so, she took all her frustration out on Zhao Qingshan. Zhao Qingshan, who was already on his last breath, was ultimately driven to his grave by sheer rage. Upon hearing the news, his ungrateful children muttered, "What a nuisance." Then they put on a show, wailing and carrying on with fake grief. I didn't attend Zhao Qingshan's funeral, because it felt like bad luck. More importantly, I received an invitation from a friend in Beijing to co-host an exhibition of traditional New Year paintings. I gladly agreed and set off on another journey to Beijing. Little did I know that by the time I returned, their family would have fallen apart. An old neighbor told me, after Zhao Qingshan's death, Xia Meiling was in a hurry to claim her share of the estate as his lawful wife. Even though her reputation isn't the best these days, years of careful upkeep mean she still has a few elderly gentlemen vying for her attention. What's more, Zhao Qingyu is now hell-bent on kicking her out. Her selfish nature wouldn't allow her to walk away empty-handed, and those ungrateful children were never going to let her take a single cent. Besides, they hadn't been married long, so there was no significant joint marital property. On top of that, Xia Meiling's extravagant spending during the marriage had long since drained the old man's savings, so they ended up in court. How ironic. Remember what those ungrateful children said, "If it weren't for Auntie Xia tutoring us when we were young, how could we have ever gotten into university? A teacher for a day is a mother for life. Auntie Xia is like our own birth mother, and we have a duty to take care of her." In the end, Xia Meiling was only allowed to take the clothes, handbags, and jewelry she had purchased during the marriage. Everything else was inherited by those ungrateful children. As for the will Zhao Qingshan left for me, I didn't want it and left it for them as well. The ungrateful children fell out over the unfair distribution of the inheritance. They ended up back in court. In the end, they each got what was rightfully theirs. Sadly, the peace didn't last. Zhao Qingyu was deep in gambling, lost the family fortune, and his daughter-in-law filed for divorce and left, taking their grandson with her. Zhao Huimin was swindled out of all her money by a young gigolo and came crying to my doorstep. Too bad she didn't know I had already moved out of that apartment. I went to Beijing to be with my old girlfriends. We paint together and bask in the sun together. Our artwork has gained recognition not only from friends around us but also from friends abroad. They invited us to hold an art exhibition overseas. Furthermore, the principal of the community college for seniors invited us to become instructors. 57 is not old. My life is still unfolding. If I choose, my life can be even more brilliant. Story 2. I shielded my boyfriend from the sulfuric acid his brother threw, and my face was completely disfigured as a result. My boyfriend accepted 800,000 and promptly forgave his brother. He said, My brother just acted on impulse. Since I've married you, you should just let it go. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the second before the acid was thrown, this time. I made a swift retreat from the battlefield. 1. I woke up in the hospital. After the initial reconstructive surgery, when the bandages were removed, the sight of my pitted, scarred face in the mirror made me scream in horror. Shinsi, who was outside the ward, rushed in upon hearing my screams, frantically asking what was wrong. The moment I turned to look at him, he was so startled that he dropped what he was holding. His instinctive gesture only made my heart ache more. I'm calling the police. I'm going to report him, I swear I will. The venom in her voice seemed to tear at the freshly healed skin on her face. Upon hearing this, Shinsi's face went deathly pale as he sat up. Nyan, please don't call the police, he's still my brother. After all, you know how much my mother and I have wronged him. I stared at the person in front of me in disbelief. So I'm just supposed to be ruined? What am I supposed to do with my life now? I'm going to report him, I swear. Shinsi's gaze faltered, then suddenly grew resolute as he said, Nyan, I'll marry you. Don't press charges against him, I'll marry you. I don't want him to marry me. I want justice. It was my first time going to Shinsi's house to meet his parents. The food had just been served when suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Shinsi's mother opened the door, and a man suddenly burst in. The man's face was twisted with rage as he stormed toward the dining table, clutching a thermos. The moment Shinsi saw him, he stood up with a smile and said, Brother, you're here. Don't call me brother. I don't have a brother like you. How dare the old man still give you money? Go to hell, you son of a mistress. As he spoke, he unscrewed the cap and flung the contents. At the very last second, I stepped in front of him. The corrosive liquid splashed onto my face and neck. The sickening sizzle of sulfuric acid eating through my skin filled my ears. I was screaming as they rushed me to the hospital. And now, he's telling me to just let it go. Let it go. Not a chance. I'm going to sue him until he's ruined. I pushed him away, stubbornly determined to go to the police station and file a report right that instant. Shinsi grabbed my arm, his eyes avoiding mine, his tone unnervingly calm. A report was filed a long time ago. Your parents took the money. They signed the settlement agreement ages ago. Nyan, it's pointless. It felt like a blow to the head. A profound sense of betrayal ignited my rage. I turned around, only to find him looking down, our eyes meeting in that awful moment. Besides, Nyan, he's been paying for everything, from your hospital stay to all the treatments. We can't afford to sue him. A chill ran through me, as if I'd been plunged into an ice cellar. My face seemed too painful for him to look at. He averted his gaze, his arm gripping mine tightly, yet his voice was laced with heartache. We're adults. Don't be a fool over pride. Nyan, please forgive my brother. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I'll marry you. I stared at the person before me. Tears had been welling in my eyes, tracing the contours of my ravaged face for what felt like an eternity, yet not a single one fell. What kind of nonsense is this? Him marrying me is supposed to be some kind of favor to me, but you can't even look at me now. He turned and pulled me into his arms in one swift motion. Nyan, I've wronged you for a lifetime. Please, give me a chance to take care of you. In the end, I married Shinsi. After I had that argument with him, my mother stormed into the hospital. When I turned and saw her, she froze completely for a couple of seconds. Then, she pointed at my face and started screaming at me. You should count yourself lucky to have found someone like Xiao Shen. Have you even looked at yourself lately? The money's already been spent on your brother's apartment. There's no getting it back. You will marry him, and don't you dare think about pressing charges. I only found out later that she had accepted 200,000 yuan in compensation and a 100,000 yuan betrothal gift from the Shen family, on the day we got our marriage certificate, after the photographer took our official photo. The words "a perfect match" caught in his throat. The photographer awkwardly looked down and fumbled with his camera. But Shinsi held my hand and still managed to give me a smile. Nyan, you look more beautiful today than ever before. I forced a smile back at him, which only made him freeze up. Oh well, at least he still loves me, too. After getting married, Shinsi suddenly secured a spot in a singing competition. We both graduated from performing arts school. In that industry, there are too many good-looking people. And the money we made was barely enough to get by, logically speaking. A spot like that shouldn't have gone to us. Shinsi said it was just dumb luck. He soon left to attend the simple training organized by the show's crew, while I stayed home to recuperate. Shinsi's mother really doesn't like me. Maybe it's because of this face, Or maybe it's something else. Xiaoyan, let's be honest, with your situation, you really shouldn't have married into our family. But our Xiaoshen is a man of his word and carries the whole family on his shoulders. You need to be more diligent and supportive. Look at this floor, you weren't paying attention, were you? Do it again, properly this time. I nodded hurriedly. All the family's money, including my compensation, is controlled by Shenxi's mother. I'm afraid that if I don't go along with her wishes, my reconstructive surgery will be halted. Fortunately, though, my mother-in-law is just harsh with her words. My reconstructive surgery has never actually been stopped. Then, the show Shenxi was on blew up. He gained a bit of fame, and his company immediately pushed him into a film TV production. Shenxi suddenly entered the entertainment industry, and the web series he starred in happened to become a hit. His career kept climbing higher. But the rumors and gossip about him also spread more and more. My face has healed about 60%, but I'm still left with these worm-like scars. What's worse, I can no longer make clear expressions on my face. For a performer, that means my career in entertainment is over for good. In the second year of our marriage, he became more and more famous, and spent less and less time at home. My mother-in-law's expression grew increasingly sour. Then one time, I made some soup and brought it to the film set to see him. I wore a hat and a mask, hoping to go unrecognized by anyone at the workplace I once knew so well, but when I reached the studio, I was stopped anyway. Hey, who are you? A security guard blocked my path and asked. I didn't like the probing look he fixed on me, so I averted my eyes and said, I'm Shenxi's family, I'm here to see him. The other person looked skeptical. Family? What kind of family? You're not some obsessive fan, are you? I'm not. I really am family. Look, just wait a second. I'll have him tell you himself. I sent 2 or 3 messages on my phone, but there was no reply. The security guard's look grew more and more suspicious. I'm telling you, you young girls should be doing something useful with your lives instead of chasing after celebrities all day. Do you think that's going to put food on the table? You're obsessed. Now get out of here. I stared at the unresponsive page, then glanced toward the studio. Thinking he must be busy, I settled down to wait by the exit. 3. The autumn wind carried a chill. My legs had gone numb from squatting by the time people finally started wrapping up inside. The crew began filing out the door. I stayed tucked in the corner, unnoticed by anyone. The crowd thinned out in waves, and when I saw the security guards getting antsy for their lunch break, I seized the moment and slipped inside unnoticed. Logically, the celebrity should have left first. What was Shenxi still doing here after all this time? I kept my head down, pulling my cap lower every time I passed someone, and searched through the dressing rooms one by one. Finally, outside one of the lounge rooms, before I could even open the door, I heard unmistakably intimate sounds coming from within. I thought it was just some illicit lovers, and was about to leave when I heard the people inside mention my name. Brother Shen. Tell me, who's more beautiful, me or Sun Yan? A familiar voice. Of course it's you. How could that ugly hag compare to you now? I can't even be bothered to touch her. You're the one. So you chose her over me back then. I pressed close to the door, my ragged breaths mingling with the reply. It wasn't like that. She had such a bright future back then. I had to think about our future together, didn't I? The moment I found out she passed Director Li's audition, I brought her home. Who could have predicted something like this would happen? But if she hadn't had that accident, how would you have landed the role of Shi Qian from Director Li's project? You should be counting your blessings. I stood outside the door, feeling the blood run cold in my veins, the life shattered by accident, the pain and injustice endured on the operating table. None of it had faded. Instead, it all surged to life in that moment. I pushed the door open and pressed the shutter under their horrified gazes. Didn't they want to be famous? I'll make them famous. Sun Yan, stop right now, just let me explain. Shenxi came chasing after me, stark naked. I grabbed my phone and ran, flinging the scalding hot soup over the both of them. Amidst their screams, I fled. My blood was boiling with rage. I was going to send them both straight to hell. I couldn't go home, and having been out of the loop for so long, I quickly reached out to my best friend. I told her I wanted to expose Shenxi and asked her to recommend a few people to me. As soon as Meng Yuan heard, she promptly arranged a meeting spot for me. On the drive there, a massive truck came barreling down the road, heading straight for me as I waited at the red light. I closed my eyes at the last second. After a tremendous crash, I found myself standing on the sidewalk. I died. Only after my death did I learn the truth. The truck driver had been bribed by Shenxi. Meng Yuan had tipped him off, and afterwards, she even took a cut of the 1 million hush money. After I died, they threw a lavish funeral, Shinsi put on a show of being utterly grief-stricken, which successfully garnered a wave of public attention and earned him the online title of the devoted, loving husband. Netizens even dug up photos of me, disfigured, going to the hospital for checkups. They expressed disgust at my appearance, saying I must have saved the galaxy in a past life to have been so lucky. Marrying Shinsi and having such a wonderful mother-in-law, they climbed the ladder of success. Stepping on my very bones and blood, I had been following them all along, seething with a hatred so deep I wanted to skin them alive and drink their blood, right up until Shinsi and Wenqing's wedding of the century. It was in the bridal suite that Shinsi finally confessed. His brother had given him 800,000, he used 500,000 to buy his own competition slot, and from the remainder, he only spent 100,000 on my reconstructive surgery. The sight of her makes me sick. Thank God it wasn't my face that got ruined. Sun Yan brought all of this on herself. Consumed by bitterness, I swore that if I got another chance, I'd make sure he tasted the same medicine. When I opened my eyes again, I was suddenly back at the dinner table. You look lovely today, Shan Yan. Here, have some fish. The moment I opened my eyes, Shinsi's mother was sitting across from me, putting food into my bowl. A tender piece of fish belly was placed in my bowl. This was definitely not the kind of treatment I expected after getting married. I looked around and saw Shinsi sitting beside me, beaming with a smile. What's wrong? Why are you spacing out? I suppressed the hatred in my heart, a bold idea taking shape. I'd been reborn on the very day I was supposed to meet Shinsi's mother. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. That's probably a delivery, I'll go check. Shinsi's mother put down her chopsticks and immediately got up to answer the door. What's wrong, Nian Nian? I looked at the insincere smile on this person's face, shook my head, and subtly shifted my body to the side. Peel a shrimp for me, will you? As soon as I said it, he happily took the plate. My eyes immediately fell on the gift box beside the dining table. The size is just right, perfect for self-defense. A commotion erupted at the door, exactly like in my past life. Shinsi's brother walked in, sitting in his chair. Shinsi, holding a half-peeled shrimp, smiled and asked, "Brother, what brings you here?" Amidst the furious shouts, the corrosive liquid flew straight towards him, quick on my feet. I leapt back and grabbed a gift box to shield my side. Aside from a burning sensation on my thigh, likely from a few stray splashes, I felt nothing else. My face, aha! Shinsi screamed in agony, the shrimp in his hand dropping onto the table. The napkins instantly turned yellow and black upon contact with the sulfuric acid. His mother rushed over, while Shinjing stood frozen in place. Back when he splashed the wrong person, he was similarly scared stiff and rooted to the spot. I immediately called the police, hovering around Shinsi with a face full of panic. What do we do? Oh my God, what are we going to do? Shinsi covered his face and screamed, while his mother was running around in a frantic panic. Get that off, get that shirt off now. Auntie, quick, get something to wipe him down and get him to the hospital. I felt like Shinsi's mother had suddenly found her bearings and sprang into action. I can't, I'm a public figure, son. Nothing is more important than your life, his mother wailed as she forcibly cut off his shirt and pants with a pair of scissors. However, the most crucial self-rescue measure after being splashed with sulfuric acid is to rinse the area with clean water. When sulfuric acid meets water, it generates heat, but the water carries that heat away, preventing the person from feeling an intense burning sensation. I only learned this in my previous life, after going to the hospital. Back then, in my agony, I knocked over a drink on the table. The liquid splashed onto the burned area on my arm, providing relief, and only then did I go to rinse myself with water. In this life, I was overly considerate, moving drinks he might knock over, ensuring I never touched him, and anxiously offering help that only made things worse. For my pain, he must repay 1,000-fold, only then will it be fair. 5. Returning once more to the familiar hospital, the scent of antiseptic, strangely, put me at ease. In the chaos, I took Shinsi's phone and slipped into the bathroom. His phone was locked with a 4-digit passcode. I tried my birthday first, no luck. Then I tried his, still nothing. Just as I was starting to feel at a loss, a message suddenly lit up the screen. Wenqing, you're taking her to meet your mom today. Does your mom like her? Or does she like me more? I almost forgot about her. Shinsi and I were in the same year at film school. Wenqing was a junior, 2 years below us. She's sweet looking. Has known Shinsi since they were kids, and calls herself his little sister. I never thought much of it. It wasn't until my past life that I found out those two had been in contact all along. What's worse, after my accident back then, I couldn't take the role in director Lee's audition for Southern Country. Even though it was just a supporting part, the fifth female lead, the character was very likable. Shen Xiai took the script I had annotated with my notes and insights and gave it to Wen Qing. He even spent money to pull some strings and recommended her to the director. After the movie became a hit, that role won over a legion of fans, and Wen Qing officially broke into the film and television industry. This time, they're going to have to be stuck with each other for good. I entered Wen Qing's birthday on my phone, and the lock screen instantly unlocked. When I opened the chat history, I finally discovered that Shen Xiai had me saved as beautiful and naive fiancé. I scrolled down a bit and found out he was playing the field. For example, Wen Qing was saved as sweet and spicy childhood friend. Besides that, there was also aloof long-haired goddess, fiery and exciting colleague, rich and gullible superfan. Even his own mother was saved in his contacts as cranky old mom. I couldn't help but laugh. I had only intended to look for his chats with Wen Qing, but now I had a treasure trove to dig through. Scrolling up through the messages, it became painfully clear, his flirty banter with Wen Qing never stopped. Their relationship was clearly more than friends, but not quite lovers. It would be one thing if he were single, but while dating me, showering me with affection, he was simultaneously picking out lingerie styles for another girl. It's utterly disgusting. There was just too much evidence on this phone, so I decided to keep it. In all the chaos, no one even noticed. When I went back out, the police had already arrived at the operating room door and were questioning Shen's mother. "Officer, you have to get justice for my boyfriend. He's an actor. This will ruin his career. You can't let him get away with this." I was sobbing hysterically, even more distraught than his own mother. Seeing my state, the officer quickly helped me up and tried to console me. "Mrs. Shen's expression darkened. How on earth would she explain it to Shen Xi's father if she brought his legitimate son into the picture? 6. I only learned all this after I married into the family. Shen Xi's father is a small-time entrepreneur, but he already had a wife. Mrs. Shen was his first love from his youth. 23 years ago, things got out of hand between them, and to everyone's surprise, she quietly gave birth to the child and then reappeared 20 years later. Back in the day, Mr. Shen's business largely relied on his wife's family. Now, seeing that he's firmly in control and his younger son has turned out decently, it's no wonder they've reconnected. So, when Shen Jing, the son from the first marriage, happened to see Shen Xi's bit part on TV, he was so filled with resentment that he wanted to ruin his face. In my past life, I was the one who got ruined. To avoid having her first love's son prosecuted, she was even willing to hold her nose and let me into the family. Now, with her own biological son, it seems she's taking a similar approach. "Officer, I am Shen Xi's mother. Xiaosu isn't officially part of the family yet, so this matter should be discussed between us." "Mom, what are you saying? Just because you were the other woman, does that mean the first wife's son gets to bully Shen Xiai however he pleases? No wonder Shen Xiai told me you've always been fawning over Shen Jing. Have you no conscience? Your own son is lying in there." My outburst, packed with too much information, drew frequent glances from the people around us. Shen's mother was instantly flustered. "What nonsense are you spouting? Shut up. What does our family business have to do with you?" "What do you mean? What does it have to do with me? Shen Xiai told me everything. You're his biological mother, yet you always side with Shen Jing whenever he starts trouble. You've been wanting to drive his first wife to her death so you can be Shen Jing's stepmother." "Shut up, just shut up." Shen's mother shrieked and lunged at me, trying to claw at me, but was held back by others. "Calm down, we'll need to take your statements separately." After the police left, Shen Xiai was brought out, swathed in so many layers of bandages he looked like a mummy. The moment she entered the hospital room, Mrs. Shen's face fell. "Xiaoyan, what did you mean by what you said outside?" I leaned against the wall, completely unfazed. "It doesn't mean anything. It's just what Shen Xiai told me. If you want to make amends, you should think carefully about how to explain yourself to Shen Xiai." Mrs. Shen's face was full of doubt. "My son would never say such a thing, believe it or not, but if you don't, you can ask him yourself when you wake up." She had no way of asking him. After all, she was the main reason Shen Xi's face was disfigured. Once the seed of doubt is sown, it grows fastest in the soil of misfortune. Last life was peaceful, with mother and son in harmony, and this one, just you wait. None of them will get off easy. 7. I was quickly shown the door. "But it's fine, they'll be asking me back." Classic emotional blackmail. "They'll definitely come crawling back to me to clean up the mess, but that's not important right now. The most crucial thing is that role in director Lee's project." I had just gotten into the taxi when Shen Xi's phone suddenly lit up. "Wen Qing, Hey, why aren't you replying? Didn't you say you'd convince her to give up Director Lee's role for me? If that doesn't work, just slip her something so she can't make it to the costume fitting. When Ching is filming on location right now, and Shen Xiai is a public figure, his mother wouldn't let a scandal blow up, so she's kept in the dark. I raised an eyebrow, a plan for revenge forming in my mind. Shen Xiai. Sun Yan is a dead end, but I heard the assistant director has a minor role up for grabs. He happens to be in Liaoqing, right near you. For the next couple of days, use your connections, send a gift or something. Wenqing, great, thanks, big bro. This assistant director comes from a wealthy family and despises the industry's underhanded dealings. Actors he blacklists rarely find work in the circle. Besides, I never specified what kind of gift to give. I just hope Wenqing doesn't offer herself up, or she'll be in for a nasty surprise. Well, since I've been kicked out anyway, I went ahead and blocked the Shen family. I'll keep my phone safe at home. It's my ultimate trump card. I joined the production crew very quickly. With my prior understanding of the role and the reference of 2 lifetimes, I performed excellently. On the day we wrapped filming, even I, a minor supporting actress, received flowers. Checking the time. The initial restoration should be complete by now. It's time to go see him. I had put on makeup for the occasion, and since I wasn't exactly famous, I just walked right in, clutching a bouquet of flowers the crew had given me. When I entered, Shen Xiai was wailing at her reflection in the mirror. "Ah, my face, it's ruined." "It's alright, son, it'll be fine." I opened the door and stepped inside, and both of them turned to look at me. The moment I saw Shen Xiai, the flowers in my hand fell. I did it on purpose. I saw the hurt and pain in his eyes as clear as day. Feeling a bit awkward, I picked up the flowers and said, trying to smooth things over, "As long as you're okay, so you finally decided to show up. Where have you been all this time?" As soon as Mother Shen spoke, I rolled my eyes without a care. "Son, look at her attitude, just look at her. I have to work. Besides, when Auntie kicked me out, didn't she tell me never to come back?" Shen Xiai saw the bouquet of flowers, complete with a standing card that read, "Congratulations on wrapping up. You went to act in Southern Country." "Yeah, after your mom kicked me out and said we were through, I figured if love was gone, I'd better focus on my career. How could you just go back to work like nothing happened after what I've been through? Do I even mean anything to you?" I couldn't help but laugh at the sight of this man before me, his face contorted and pockmarked. In my past life, after the incident happened to me, he rushed off to join the film crew right after we got our marriage certificate. The time we actually spent together could be counted on 2 hands. How dare he ask me that? "And what about you? After I joined the crew, when Ching called you, didn't she? Somehow she got blacklisted in the industry, and she called just to curse me out. She even blamed me for not listening to you and giving up the role. You two have been in contact all along." He shook his head frantically. "No way, that's impossible. She's just making things up. I was only joking with her." "But you can't just stop caring about me because you're mad. Why should I care about you? Even your mom thinks I'm meddling in things that aren't my business." "What do you mean?" I ignored him and turned to look at Shen's mother, whose face was dark with displeasure behind me. "Auntie, how much did Shen Jing pay you to sign that settlement agreement so easily? Shen Xiai is your own son. Aren't you going to seek justice for him?" 8. "Mom, Nian Nian, what does this mean? What settlement agreement? You signed it." "No, listen to me, dear, your mother had no other choice." As Mrs. Shen scrambled to explain, I chimed in, thoroughly enjoying the drama. "Exactly, after all, with Mrs. Shen on her deathbed, you're just rushing to become someone's stepmother once she's gone. How could you possibly blame your future stepson for that?" "Right, Auntie." "Shut your mouth, Mom, you need to explain this to me," you said. The two of them started arguing. Shen Xi's pockmarked face, twisted with rage, looked even more terrifying, causing Mrs. Shen to stumble backward in fear. It was time, so I casually headed downstairs to grab a bite to eat. When we returned, the two of them sat in silence, as if they had formed a united front. However, the look in Shen's mother's eyes was full of resentment when she looked at me. "Xiaoyan, I was wrong. Auntie apologizes to you. But with Xiaoshan in this state, a good girl like you wouldn't think of abandoning him in his hour of need, would you?" Emotional blackmail. It always arrives sooner or later. You need to understand you're practically a public figure. If you dare abandon Xiaoshan at a time like this, no need for that. "Shen Xiai, let's get married, just as you climbed the ladder in your last life by sucking me dry. It's my turn this time around." Shen Xiai was stunned for a moment, his eyes wide with shock. He never expected I'd still be willing to marry him. He must have been genuinely moved. Nian Nian, oh Nian Nian, you're so wonderful. He came over to hug me, but I took a step back. He stood there, looking wounded again, though the expression on his face was a bit hard to describe. Let's get one thing straight, I'll marry you, but only if I'm in charge of all the household finances. Shen's mother was the first to lose her composure. On what grounds? She demanded. Auntie, you were so quick to accept money and forgive the person who ruined Shen Ci, just because it was Shen Jing. If something happens in the future and the money is with you, won't you just give it all back? Besides, since I married Shen Ci, that money would obviously be used for his recovery and rehabilitation. If it's all left with you, would you even be willing to spend it on him? Hearing my words, Shen Ci's thoughtful gaze shifted to his mother. Once a crack appears between people, the relationship becomes fragile and easily broken. Looking into her son's eyes, Mrs. Shen felt a twinge of fear. What nonsense are you talking? If you don't agree, let's just forget it. I won't force you. After I finished speaking, I stood up to leave, but Shen Ci grabbed my arm. He turned to look at his mother, his gaze dark and menacing. Mom, you're willing, right? If not for Nian Nian, your son will never find anyone else. In the end, Mrs. Shen agreed. 9. On the day of our wedding photo shoot, in front of the camera and after the photographer's repeated urging, Shen Ci finally took off his mask. His face left everyone present in stunned silence. He was visibly embarrassed, his proud dignity ground into the dust. As he clutched my hand tightly, just as he had done for me in a past life, I smiled and said to him, Shen Ci, you look more handsome today than ever before. To the outside world, I am the epitome of a tolerant and virtuous wife, unwaveringly faithful in love and utterly indifferent to appearances. I can hear the praise showered upon me, and I can see the flicker of anger and humiliation that crosses the face of the person before me. Does it sting? Get used to it. It wasn't until after we got the marriage certificate that I finally started taking stock of the Shen family's assets. To my surprise, the Shen family's total assets amounted to a staggering 2 million. That was way more than I had ever imagined. For this settlement, not only did Shen Jing fork over $1 million, but after hearing about it, Shen Ci's father also chipped in an extra 500,000 in compensation. On top of their family savings, which might not even be the full amount, there's also this apartment. Not bad at all. With all the money in my hands, I didn't hesitate to replicate his path to fame. This time, I spent 800,000 to secure a better spot for myself, and I also used the funds to actively finance his recovery. Right after getting married, I joined the production crew. Just like in my past life, as soon as the show aired, I gained instant popularity. The release of the film suddenly made me a bit of a minor celebrity. This was especially true after the media broke the news about my early marriage. People were initially feeling sorry for me, but then some bystanders from the day I registered my marriage at the Civil Affairs Bureau spoke up in my defense online, even posting photos. Public opinion did a complete 180, and netizens were all sighing with, wow, she's so devoted, sticking by him through thick and thin. I really admire her. But doesn't that face make her sick? I'd lose my appetite just looking at it. Why can't I ever meet a girlfriend who's this loyal and devoted? I'm a fan now. My reputation was on the rise, and I became swamped with new projects. For long stretches, I simply had no time for Shen Ci. Even on the rare occasions I came home, I'd just sit for a moment before leaving again, completely ignoring his attempts to be close. The look in his eyes towards me evolved in stages, starting with gratitude, shifting to a hint of resentment, and finally settling into outright blame. On the off chance I showed him a little kindness, he'd eagerly come closer, but if I let even a trace of disgust show on my face, he'd retreat, wounded all over again. It must have been torture for him, like training a dog, having to face his own reflection every day, then watching me on screen. I control all the household expenses, so even Shen Ci's mother has to grit her teeth and put on a smiling face for me. Life is really good like this. 10. Until one day, a message arrived on my phone. Shen Ci, Nian Nian, I made some soup and brought it to the set to see you. The security guard doesn't believe I'm your husband. He won't let me in. Can you come get me? How familiar. So this is what it feels like when the roles are reversed. I had absolutely no intention of agreeing. Song Yen, my scene partner across from me, chuckled and said, is that the husband our esteemed senior married so young? I said with a helpless look on my face, yeah, he's a bit sensitive and keeps a pretty close eye on me. The people around us pricked up their ears. Is he still keeping tabs on you? Ever since the accident, he's been really insecure. I always have to tell him exactly where I am. Last time, I was late getting home because of work, and he smashed all the plates. A wave of sighs rippled through the crowd. Brother is so inconsiderate, not like me. I'm the one who really cares about you, sis. What a little schemer, always stirring the pot. Sis, after you finish filming this scene, could you walk me through the next one? Seeing the sly glint in his eyes, I nodded. Of course, work comes first. You're so dedicated, senior. After working for several hours, just as I was finishing up, someone suddenly burst in. Sun Yen, get out here. Are you sneaking around with another man behind my back? You're the one who was supposed to be disfigured, not me. What on earth did you do? You've ruined me. Get out here right now. Hearing his shouts, a sudden thought struck me. It was as if he remembered his past life too. He ran in, brandishing a knife and swinging it wildly, while security guards trailed behind, too afraid to get close. Seeing me surrounded by a crowd, he charged straight toward me. But before he could get near, Song Yen, suspended on wires, kicked him flying. The knife clattered to the ground, and he was quickly subdued. He understood all too well the importance of reputation in the entertainment industry. Perhaps remembering his past life and unable to accept the fall from grace, he wanted to destroy me too. He shouted hysterically, "You're the one who should be disfigured. It's you. You must have done something. How could you do this to me?" With just a few words from him, the people around us were looking at me with complicated, judgmental gazes. He was taken to the police station. I waited until the dead of night to bail him out. On the way there, I knew someone was secretly filming me. 11. First thing the next morning, the story blew up on the hot search list. The video was posted online. My Weibo account was flooded. This is seriously disturbing. Isn't this just profiting from someone's tragedy? At Sun Yen, care to explain why he said you're the one who should be disfigured? Hold on, everyone. Sun Yen's husband, Shen Si, is also in the entertainment industry. Could this be a calculated move? Climbing the ladder by stepping on her own husband, that's ruthless. Everyone believed his breakdown was genuine. As part of a marginalized group, he easily garnered widespread support. That's just the way the world works, everyone said. He suffered so much, why would he lie? After all he's been through, how could he possibly be the bad guy? I hadn't said a word. Yet Shen Si suddenly started posting on Weibo. His face, now about 70% healed, still bore the scars of the surgery. With a grave expression, he apologized to everyone. He kept saying he had caused everyone trouble and that the matter had nothing to do with him. But the tears welling in his eyes sparked endless speculation. Many netizens commented below, "Blink twice if you're being forced to do this." People began concocting one conspiracy theory after another. Riding the wave of attention, he even filmed a public service announcement for people with disabilities. Things are pretty much over between him and me. The night he made bail, the first thing he said to me after getting in the car was, "You've got some nerve, Sun Yen, taking everything from me. It's so strange. It's like this person has no morals at all. What exactly did I take from you? I have no obligation to shield you from acid, especially for someone as despicable as you." I didn't hold back. Now that I remembered, there was no need to pretend anymore. His gaze was icy as he looked at my face, a corner of his mouth twitching. "Do you think this means I'll lose? I crushed you in my past life, and I can do it again in this one. Oh, then get the hell out. You want to kick me out? Aren't you afraid?" Before he could finish, the door swung open and I kicked him out. He landed on the curb, and I flipped him off from inside the car. "Get lost, you piece of trash." 12. My reputation is a mixed bag, but the controversy has only made me more popular. With a face like that, he can't act. How could he possibly make a comeback? I heard he started sending his resume to one production crew after another, but with a face that can't even manage basic expressions, he's simply unemployable. His previous life was too smooth, he was put on too high a pedestal, and now he's plunged into a despair he can't climb out of. He started posting these long, emotional rants online, each one accusing me of giving him the cold shoulder and being distant after we got married. He keeps hinting, both directly and indirectly, that I'm disgusted by his face and only married him to use him. I offered no explanation, and my reputation hit rock bottom. 2 weeks later, he posted a photo of just Song Yan and me having dinner, accusing me of marital infidelity and claiming I had completely disregarded him. The trending topics exploded all over again. My reputation instantly plummeted to new depths. I was even pelted with eggs while walking down the street. He showed up at my apartment looking smug, watching me return in a sorry state. With no one else around, he finally showed his true colors. "Sun Yen, so what if I can't find a job? Do you think I can't ruin you? Get back home, get on your knees and beg me, and transfer all your acting fees to me. Maybe then I'll consider forgiving you." I flung the vegetable leaves off my head and looked at him, full of resentment, saying, I don't understand. What exactly are you blaming me for? All I did was not shield you from that sulfuric acid. Was I obligated to take the hit for you? My words seemed to touch a raw nerve. He grabbed my collar frantically and roared, how dare you not take the hit for me? My face is ruined, ruined. Do you have any idea how much I'm suffering? You destroyed my entire life. I should have been famous. I should have been a leading man. It's all your fault. How dare you not cover for me? He held a dagger to my throat, trying to make me yield. Terrified and breaking down, I cried, why don't you blame your homewrecker of a mother, or your brother who threw acid in your face? Instead, you blame me. I should be the one asking why. He released my hand and watched me crumple to the floor. Of course I blame them, and I won't let them get away with it. You've ruined my life. I won't let a single one of you off the hook. As he spoke, he was suddenly tackled to the ground. Police officers emerging from the room, along with assistants holding live-streaming equipment, swarmed forward. Shinsiai stared blankly at the scene before snapping to his senses and shouting, it was you, you set me up. Wait, no, it was Meng Yuan. She deliberately fed me that information to lure me here. He thought that since Meng Yuan betrayed me so easily in the previous life, she would do the same this time, but he forgot. If Meng Yuan could betray me for money, she could just as easily betray him for a higher price. The live stream just now completely cleared my name. For the high-profile crime of breaking and entering with a knife and making threats, he was sentenced to 8 years in prison. 13. The tables have turned. I went public online, disclosing all the financial support I provided to the Shin family after our marriage, along with proof of every single repair he claimed. I even hired paparazzi to leak all the flirtatious messages from his phone. I gave him a taste of his own medicine, returning every underhanded trick he used on me in my past life. Netizens have been leaving comments under my Weibo post. I've never seen someone so shameless, truly the son of a homewrecker. The sister should just focus on her own fabulous life. I spent all that time ranting, only to find out I wronged an innocent person. I'm so mad. Don't be such a Shinsiai. I just don't get it. His wife is beautiful, earns good money, didn't even hold his disfigurement against him, and spent a fortune on his reconstructive surgery. What on earth is he still unhappy about? He must be out of his mind. Shinsiai was utterly disgraced and publicly shamed. With the entire internet watching, the divorce went through without a hitch. As for the division of assets, please. He was the guilty party who attempted murder. There was no way he was walking away with a significant portion of my wealth. His own father completely disowned him. The scandal was so humiliating that even his mother cut ties. After the phone records were made public, not only did Shinsiai face a torrent of abuse, but the already cancelled Wenqing was dragged through the mud all over again. Her reputation was in such tatters that she'd probably get pelted with rotten vegetables if she walked down the street. I guess you could call this a different kind of fame. There will always be people in this world who are never satisfied. What goes around comes around. Fate will always find a way to collect what is owed. Everything I have, I was meant to have. My conscience is clear. The end. That's all for the first story. Don't go away. The next one is even more exciting. Mom is a strategy guide character. After she completed her mission, she left this world, leaving me with 4 fathers. The first father is a CEO whose wealth rivals that of a nation. The second father is a household name movie star. The third father is a master physician. And the fourth holds a position of immense power. For 16 years, my 4 fathers doted on me, granting my every wish, that is, until 3 years ago, when Wenya, the daughter of their long-lost first love, returned. From that day on, my 4 fathers chose to believe only her, and never me. She claimed I called her filthier than a dog and was unworthy of the house, so my fathers made me eat dog food and sleep in the kennel. She told them I was leading a group of students to bully her at school, so my fathers pulled me out of school and hired 3 thugs to beat me at home for 3 months. After Wenya accused me of pushing her yet again, my fathers locked me in a dog cage without food for 3 days and nights to teach me a lesson. Just as I was on the verge of starving to death, I heard my mother's voice, Nan Nan, do you want to come back to mommy? I snapped awake instantly. Then I realized it wasn't my mother speaking to me, but the system. It said that when my mother left, she left an opportunity for me. If I was willing, I could go to her world. Of course I would. But the words died on my lips. I asked the system, would going back to my mother really be better than this? If she loved me, why didn't she take me with her in the first place? The system told me that my mother accepted this mission back then because my grandmother was gravely ill. She came to this world because she wanted to save her. In that world, she was only a sophomore in college, saving her grandmother had already drained all her savings, and her family was still in debt. Back then, the forefathers promised that no matter whose child I was, they would treat me as their own, just asking my mother to leave them something to remember her by. The love of parents for their child is shown in planning for their long-term future. My mother didn't want me to suffer with her, so she left me here. Nan, the system's voice was gentle, almost like a caress. Your mother has been waiting for you all these years. She never dated, never married. She bought a small house and has been waiting, just for you. Would you like to go to her? I nodded. The system seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. It explained that if this body I was in were to die, I would be able to see my mother. Hearing that, I took off my clothes and tied them into a knot on the bars of the cage. I saw it on TV once. If you just put your head in and let your body drop, you'll die. Luckily, the dog crate was big enough, and I was short enough. After I slipped my head in, I quickly felt the choking sensation around my neck. As my consciousness faded, I actually felt a sense of relief. I'm going to see Mom any second now. But my joy was short-lived. Within moments, I heard someone call my name. The dog crate was opened, and I was pulled out, gasping for air. I looked up and met a pair of frantic eyes. Dad Goo. The address slipped out almost instinctively, almost immediately. I felt a pang of regret, because the panic in Guya's eyes was instantly replaced by disgust. Don't you dare call me that. You're not worthy. Guyi is my CEO dad. Out of my 4 dads, he spoils me the most. A lot of people think he's my biological father, because our eyes are so alike. All these years, I'd been living in Uncle Goo's villa. Whatever I wanted, he would buy it for me. He once said that even if I wanted the stars in the sky, he would pluck them down for me. However, that special favor came to an end 3 years ago. Mr. Goo brought Wenya back from abroad. It was only then that I learned, besides my mother, the 4 of them had another white moonlight in their lives. Back then, that white moonlight had betrayed the 4 of them, taken a large sum of money, and fled overseas. It was Mom who appeared and saved them, helping them slowly heal from that betrayal. Later, the white moonlight was dying abroad. She called Dad Goo to apologize and begged him to adopt Wenya. All 4 dads said Wenya was a bit younger than me and told me to get along with her, and I truly did treat her like a younger sister. From the very beginning, Wenya was determined to monopolize all of our father's affection. Unexplained bruises would appear on her body, which she claimed were from me hitting her. She would suddenly tumble down the stairs, insisting that I had pushed her. As the number of times she accused me of hurting her grew, our fathers became increasingly disappointed in me. It all started when Wenya was cornered in an alley and assaulted by a dozen thugs. After those thugs were caught, they all claimed I was the one who put them up to it. I had no way to defend myself. From that day on, I became the villain in this family. My forefathers forbade me from calling them dad. I was moved from the princess room to a dog cage. All the servants called me a murderer. Beatings, curses, and starvation became my daily routine. At that thought, I quickly bowed my head and apologized. I'm sorry, Mr. Goo. Mr. Goo. Even so, Mr. Goo Sr. was relentless. Shinsinan, what are you trying to do? Stage a suicide, just to get our attention? But aren't you being foolish, picking this place for your little act? It stinks so badly here. No one would even find your body if it rotted away. So, he thought I was putting on an act. I didn't argue. Just asked in confusion, Mr. Goo, what are you doing here? I thought you were obsessed with cleanliness. Mr. Goo frowned. This is my house. I go where I please. I came to warn you. Today is Xiaoya's birthday. Don't cause any trouble for her. At the very least, you can't die here. I nodded obediently. So, he saved me because he didn't want my death in the villa to ruin Wenya's day. Fine, I'll just go die somewhere else then. 2. After Mr. Goo left the kennel, I also left the Goo family villa. I bought a bottle of pesticide and went to the place where my mother used to live. I lay in bed holding a photo of my mother. Just as I raised the pesticide to drink it, I stopped. If I died like this and was found, I would surely cause trouble for the police. So I wrote a suicide note, telling everyone it was my own doing. The pesticide tasted bitter, burning like fire from my tongue all the way down to my stomach. I quickly lost consciousness. Mom, I'm coming. I don't know how long it was, but I felt my stomach churning. After throwing up violently, the discomfort jolted me awake. I jolted upright in a surge of wild joy at the sight of an unfamiliar ceiling. The word Mom died on my lips as my eyes met those of Uncle Jiang. Uncle Jiang stood before me in a white lab coat, my suicide note clutched in his hand. His fingertips trembled faintly from the force of his grip. Finally, he flung the letter into my face. Shinsinuo, you've really outdone yourself this time. You've even learned to use death to force us to pay attention to you. If you were going to die, you could have at least done it somewhere else. Why there? Do you have any idea how you've defiled your mother's house? I was left utterly bewildered by Dad Jiang's furious shouting. To be honest, of the four fathers, my favorite was always Dr. Dad, Jiang Zhouxing. He is a medical expert, highly skilled in both traditional Chinese and Western medicine, in daily life. He always teaches me medical knowledge, including acupuncture. He is gentle and interesting, and he spends the most time with me. For a time, I believed he was my real father. Even when Wenya first appeared, he didn't pay her the same excessive attention as the other three dads did. Instead, he told me, Nan Nan, you are and always will be Dad Zhang's only daughter. No one can ever take your place. That all changed the day Wenya fainted in front of everyone. Dad Jiang pulled a single acupuncture needle from the back of her head. Just as he was asking Wenya what had happened, she suddenly knelt down in front of me. Sis, I was wrong. I didn't tell Dad Jiang about this. He found out on his own. Please, prick me with the needle again. That was the first time I ever saw Dad Jiang lose his temper. He looked at me with utter disappointment and said, Shen Sinan, I taught you these skills to save lives, not to take them, no matter what I said. He wouldn't believe me, because aside from him, I was the only one in the family who could have given that injection in that spot. Calm down, third brother. It was only then I noticed that Uncle Gu was also in the hospital room, his face grim. Shen Sinan seems to have had a mental breakdown. She attempted suicide at home once, and then drank pesticide at Xin Yi's place. I suspect, Uncle Jiang cut him off. Eldest brother, are you having a change of heart? Have you forgotten what a good actress she is? She's so obsessed with wealth and status. There's no way she'd willingly leave the four of us. She just knows it's Xiaoya's birthday today and is putting on a show for attention. After hearing him, the confusion on Mr. Gu's face slowly faded. You're right, he said. Just then, both their phones rang simultaneously. They took them out and tapped the screens. Dad Gu, Dad Jiang, when are you coming home? The other two dads are already waiting. It's my coming-of-age ceremony today. If you don't come back soon, I'm going to be upset. A gentle, sweet voice rang out in the room. Smiles spread across both fathers' faces simultaneously. They held their phones carefully, sending voice messages to Wenya to comfort her. This scene felt all too familiar. There was a time when they used to comfort me in the same way. It turns out father is the same man, but his heart has changed. With each repeated call of little princess, my heart sank. And I drifted toward the window. I'm afraid of pain, so I was only considering gentler ways to die, but I couldn't wait any longer. So, right in front of the two of them, I climbed over the windowsill and jumped. Goodbye, two dads. 3. The pain I had imagined never came. I got myself stuck in a tree outside. After I was rescued, Uncle Jiang, his face pale, came up and slapped me. Shen Sinan, when will you ever stop this? Uncle Gu didn't look any happier either. His whole body was trembling. And he came over and kicked me too. Shen Sinan, what the hell are you trying to do? I was kicked to the ground, having just had my stomach pumped, and now with this kick, it felt like someone had stabbed a knife into the spot and twisted it hard. A foul, metallic taste rose from my stomach into my mouth. After spitting out that mouthful of blood, I knelt down before the two of them. Mr. Gu, Dr. Jiang, please don't bother with me anymore, just let me die. My words left the two of them utterly stunned. Dad Gu frowned. Is this your new tactic, threatening to kill yourself? No, I said, my eyes red. I saw Mom's system. It said if I die, I can go to her. Please, just let me be, let me die. That way, you won't have to worry about me competing with Wenya for your affection anymore, and you won't have to keep me locked up here, always on guard. After Wenya's incident, my fourth dad, Yu Yin, a military man, meted out my punishment. He locked me in a dark room for 5 days and 5 nights. He shone a bright light in my eyes to keep me from sleeping. If I showed any sign of wanting to sleep, he would inject me with adrenaline. After those 5 days, the first thing I did upon getting out was to beg my four fathers to let me go, but they told me they wouldn't let me go. You pulled this off right under our noses. If we let you leave, who knows what you'd do to Xiaoya. Exactly. We promised your mother we'd teach you a proper lesson. You're not going anywhere. It was probably because I mentioned my mother. The tension had visibly drained from their faces, replaced by a familiar, gentle warmth I recognized. Shen Sinan, are you sure you saw your mother's system? When Mr. Gu asked as he helped me up, I told him the truth. It had appeared just this morning, right when I was on the verge of starving. The two of them exchanged a look. Uncle Jiang said to me, Shen Sinan, you might not know this, but when your mother left, She mentioned that her system would vanish once the mission was complete, so, what you're experiencing might just be a hallucination. I shook my head. No, that's not it. It really is my mother's system. Dr. Jiang, please, just leave me be, let me die. The word die made Uncle Jiang's face turn even more ashen. He held back once, then again, but finally couldn't contain himself. Whether this is a hallucination or not isn't for you to decide. We're taking you to see a psychiatrist. With that, he patted my head just like before. His expression was odd. It's been 3 years. We've discussed it. As long as you promise to stay away from Xiaoya, we won't punish you any further. Before he could finish his sentence, second dad and fourth dad appeared before us. Big brother, third brother, have you seen Yaya? Father Gu and Father Jiang were stunned. Wasn't Yaya just with you guys? Second Father Qin Xiao was frantic. She took a call and then vanished. She said a classmate wanted to give her a gift, so she went out to get it. Don't tell me. The faces of all 4 fathers fell at the same time. They remembered that 3 years ago, on Wenya's birthday, a classmate had called and asked her to go out. Then she was accosted by a group of thugs. They all turned to look at me in unison. The moment their eyes met mine, a shiver of fear ran through me. Without a word being spoken, I understood. No, it wasn't me. How can you say it wasn't you, mister? Gu roared in fury, grabbing my collar like a madman. Shen Sinan, no wonder you kept talking about wanting to die today. It was all a distraction. What have you done with Xiaoya? Where is she? I shook my head. Nothing. I really didn't do anything. But there was no way an enraged Mr. Gu would ever listen to me. Shen Sinan, you still show no remorse. You want to die. Is that it? Fine, I'll grant your wish today. He raised his fist, ready to strike me. At the critical moment, fourth uncle stepped forward, grabbing his arm, and cautioned, not here, big brother. Too many people are watching. Uncle Gu withdrew his hand, shot me a sharp look, and said in a low voice, take her home. The atmosphere in the car was heavy. The fathers were all on their phones, trying to find Wenya. I huddled in the corner, trembling. I could feel it in the air. A storm was coming. The moment the car stopped, they dragged me out. When I saw the house before me, I completely lost it. It was the place I used to call home. A primal fear brought me to my knees. I really don't know where Wenya is. I pleaded, please, just let me go. Father Jian yanked my head up, his voice icy. Didn't you want to die? After all these years as father and daughter, let us see you off. My entire body was trembling. I did want to die, but I'm scared of the pain. But I'm here now. They're not going to let me go. They dragged me inside the house. A dozen or so burly men were already waiting inside. Fourth father threw me to the ground, his brow furrowed in bitter disappointment as he instructed, teach her a proper lesson. Countless hands reached out. I felt someone gripping my limbs, and another driving nails into my flesh. My entire body was racked with pain. I was screaming for help in a panic. I kept shouting Dad, over and over. Just as the men were about to get serious, Jiang Zhouheng couldn't bear to watch and called for them to stop. He stepped forward and said to me, Shen Sinan, just tell us where you've taken Yaya, and for your mother's sake, we can let you go. I sobbed, I don't know, I really don't know, I didn't do this. Jiang Zhouxing still wanted to say something. Father you stepped forward and grabbed him. Third brother, don't you know what she's like? She won't admit to anything unless we get serious. All these years, has she ever admitted to bullying Yaya? A strange light flickered in Jiang Zhouxing's eyes. In the end, I just waved my hand. Do it. With those words, my fate was sealed. As the pain intensified, I stopped crying out. In my days, I thought I saw my mother's face. Go ahead and fight. You guys go ahead and fight. I'm really going to see Mom. The 4 dads were still on the phone nonstop. Finally, a familiar number lit up Mr. Gu's phone screen. Xiaoya, where are you? Wenya's voice came through the room. Uncle Gu, I'm out having dinner with some classmates. Why have you all been calling me so much? The 4 of them were stunned into silence. You weren't kidnapped. Wenya laughed. What are you talking about? Why would I be kidnapped? Anyway, I can't talk now. I'm heading home. At the same time, the butler's call came through. He said he had picked up Wenya. They breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness. Xiaoya is okay, exclaimed Mr. Jiang. Suddenly, his eyes widened. Shen Sinan, they finally remembered I was there. At that moment, Dad told everyone in the room to back off. They walked over to me, calling my name a few times with no response. Shen Sinan, cut the act. We found him. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt this time. Uncle Gu crouched down and nudged me, but I still didn't react. Then he realized I had long since stopped crying out in pain. His heart sank as he reached a hand under my nose. It was just a pity that I was no longer breathing. 4. Just when I thought I was about to see my mom, the system popped up again, saying there was a slight issue with the program and I might have to wait a bit longer. I nodded. My mom and I have been apart for so many years, a few more days won't matter. And so, in my spirit form, I watched the reactions of these 4 people. Realizing I had stopped breathing, Guye's legs gave way, and he collapsed to the floor in an instant. He gave me a shake, his voice trembling. Shinsinan, stop pretending, wake up. His strange behavior caught the attention of the other 3 fathers. As a doctor, Jiang Zhouxing rushed forward first. He began by pressing 2 fingers against my carotid artery to check for a pulse. In an instant, his face turned ashen. Call 120, now. Then, ignoring the stunned onlookers, he tore open my clothes and immediately began performing CPR. Yu Yan was dumbfounded. How could this happen? Is she faking it? No. Only second uncle retained a shred of composure. With a grim expression, he picked up his phone and called for an ambulance. The ambulance arrived with its sirens wailing. By the time I reached the hospital, several highly respected doctors had already been summoned. Yet, after 3 full hours of frantic effort, the monitor still showed a flat line. Everyone gave up. Jiang Zhouxing was the only one still pressing down on my chest. Shinsinan, I forbid you to die. You haven't atoned for your sins enough. How dare you? Don't make me lock you back in that dog cage. His voice was filled with despair. No one around dared to step forward and stop him. Finally, the hospital director could bear it no longer and stepped up, grabbing his arm. Dr. Jiang, stop this. Leave me alone. Jiang Zhouxing shoved the man away forcefully. If you won't save her, I will. She won't die. She survived before, and she'll survive this time too. He kept pressing on my chest like a madman. Jiang Zhouxing, the director finally snapped. Let her go. It's been 3 hours. You've broken her ribs. Even if she were still alive, she couldn't endure this pain. Jiang Zhouxing finally released his hands. He stared at my lifeless body. My face was deathly pale. My lips had turned a purplish hue, and my body was covered in wounds both large and small, with blood soaking through my clothes, and right at my chest there was a clear, sunken indentation. It was only then that Jiang Zhouxing realized he hadn't looked at me like this in a very, very long time. The sweet, soft, and chubby little girl he used to hold in his arms when we were children, he had become malnourished and thin as a rake. Though no one could say exactly when it started, grief welled up from the depths of his heart. His body went limp as he collapsed, burying his head in his hands and weeping. The doctors present didn't know how to console him. They just gave his shoulder a pat and left. Everyone in the resuscitation room began filing out. A few moments later, the door swung open again. The other 3 fathers rushed in, frantic with worry. The second father was the first to speak. Third brother, how is Shinxining? Jiang Zhouxing remained silent. The 3 of them also saw that my body on the table had already been covered with a white sheet. What that signified went without saying. Guyi stepped forward and grabbed the sheet. Just as he was about to pull it back, he retreated 2 steps, turned, and punched Yu Yan in the face. This is all your fault. You're the one who set those men on her. You killed her. Guyi was hysterical. Yu Yan was even more distraught. Is it my fault? Weren't you the one who first suggested sending her off? The 2 of them were soon locked in a brawl. Everyone watching knew they weren't fighting to hurt each other. It was all about venting their anger. Finally, the 2 were pulled apart. Second Uncle Su Ting scolded. That's enough from both of you. If we're talking about blame, all 4 of us are at fault. But the biggest mistake was Shinsinuo's, wasn't it? If she hadn't done what she did back then, how could we have misunderstood her today? Jiang Zhouxing's face twisted in pain, but he chimed in agreement. Second brother is right. All of this is Shinsinuo's own doing. She brought it on herself. Who knows? Maybe she died just to see this scene play out. Don't be fooled by her. Today is Yaya's 18th birthday. We still need to celebrate her coming of age. The mention of Wenya's name made the group settle down. Perhaps because the 4 of them hadn't returned home, Wenya called Guyi at that moment. Guyi answered, and the sound of sobbing came through the line. Uncle Gu, Shinsinan hit me again. 5. A heavy silence fell over the scene, broken only by Wenya's sobs. After a long pause, Guyi finally spoke. Who hit you, Shinsinan? Wenya said. Guyi asked again, when, just half an hour ago, Wenya thought he was acting strange today. Uncle Gu, do you know where the other 3 dads are? Can you all come back quickly? I'm so scared. Amidst her sobs, Guyi rubbed his temples. Wenya, Shinsinan is dead. Silence fell on the other end of the line. His voice was icy. She was in critical condition just half an hour ago. So, how exactly did she manage to hit you? There was silence on the other end of the line. 5 hours later, The four fathers returned home. Wenya stood in the living room and watched them run over. Her eyes were red and puffy, a clear sign she had been crying. Uncle Gu, what's going on? Is Shinsinan really dead? Gu Yu was in a foul mood and ignored her. Wenya's expression grew even more aggrieved. She turned to Jiang Zhouxing to whine. Uncle Jiang, were you all together just now? Did you hear everything? Wenya started crying again. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie. I was just scared. You were gone for so long. And I was afraid you didn't want me anymore. Every time Wenya cried, her father's hearts would soften. This time was no exception. She had suffered so much abroad. It was said that when Father Gu found her, she was sitting in a dumpster, eating scraps. In Dad's eyes, she's the insecure one, far more pitiful than someone like me who's had it easy for 16 years. So, after Wenya apologized repeatedly, the dads all let out a sigh of relief and comforted her, telling her not to cry. Mr. Gu's mood was still low, but he spoke up. It's not your fault. Shinsinan left you with psychological scars, and with that, the matter was considered closed. After some discussion, my fathers decided to hold a funeral for me. After all, they raised me themselves, so they do have some affection for me. Besides, my mother really helped them a great deal. Very few people attended the funeral. For all these years, I've been locked in a cage, cut off from school and all my old friends. I watched my own funeral with a strange calm. The system's voice chimed in. Nan, it's time to go. My heart skipped a few beats. Finally, I'm going to see Mom. Just as I was about to leave with the system, it spoke up again. Wait, I don't want to let Wenya off that easily. Hold on a moment. As I stood there confused, a tall man appeared right in front of me. My eyes widened. That's when I realized the system had a human form. Before I could even ask, it walked towards the four dads. Whatever it said made them pause in surprise. And then they followed. I followed them. They left the cemetery and headed straight for the villa. Finally stopping outside Wenya's room, as the four fathers exchanged bewildered looks, the suggestive sound of water came from inside. Darling, don't leave any marks on me. Those four will notice. It's Wenya. So that's why you had the nerve to bring me here today. That little bitch is dead. Another man's voice sent a shiver through everyone. Once you've heard it, you'll never forget. This is the very thug who assaulted Wenya 3 years ago, after he identified me. The four fathers wanted to put him behind bars. In the end, Wenya stopped them. She said she didn't want to make a big deal out of it or ruin her reputation. What on earth is going on? Soon, all the questions were answered. The man panted heavily. Her death is actually for the best. Now you have nothing to worry about. Otherwise, you'd have to keep up the act every day, lying to your four dads. Come to think of it, those four are real idiots. Back then, they believed it was that little bitch who put me up to it. Just based on our word, they didn't even notice how she trembled in fear at the sight of me. How could she possibly have dared to order me around? Wenya chuckled. My mom used to say those four were easy to fool. If she hadn't faked her death back then and had someone put on that act to call Gu Yi, we'd still be drifting abroad. Laughter continued to spill from inside the room. The four people outside seemed frozen in place, as if turned to ice. After about 3 minutes, Yu Yan was the first to move. He kicked the door open and strode inside. Then, the three of them filed in one after another. Screams, shouts, and sobs all mingled together. The system looked up and asked me, satisfied. I nodded. Did you do that on purpose? Damn it, I've had it with these four bastards for a long time. They hurt your mother back then, and now they're hurting you. The system cursed. A bunch of idiots. Should we go in and take a look? Wenya is probably getting torn apart. I shook my head and tugged at his sleeve. Take me away from here. I want to see my mom. The system thought for a moment and said, all right. With a casual wave of his hand, a black hole appeared before us. I walked straight in. Just as I was about to vanish, I heard someone call my name. Shinsinan, Nan. It was Dad's voice. This time, I won't look back. 6. I passed through the black hole and found myself in a cozy room. The air was filled with the scent of flowers. I called out for the system a few times, but got no response. Just as I was about to go and investigate, the bedroom door opened and a beautiful woman stepped out. The moment she saw me, she froze. I recognized her at the same instant. My mother, Shani. She was just as beautiful as the person in the photograph. Just as I stood there, lost and unsure, my mother burst into tears. She ran over and hugged me tightly, asking, "Is it really you, Nan? Is it my Nan?" In that instant, tears streamed down my face. That very day, my mother told me the story of what happened back then. Just as the system had told me, she took on the mission for her critically ill grandmother. And it was for her grandmother that she came back. She had been waiting for me all along. Your mother thought, even if you never wanted to come back, I would always keep a room for you. Hearing that, my nose stung with emotion, and I asked, what about Grandma? Grandma is out in the countryside. I'll take you to see her when we have the chance. Grandma recovered very well. After she got better, she went back to the countryside, and after that, Mom stayed in the city to build a life on her own. When she found out I hadn't been to school since I was 16, she pulled some strings and got me into a regular high school. Even though we came from two different worlds, the stuff we learned in high school turned out to be exactly the same. I go to school every day. When I get home, my mom has dinner ready, and in the evenings, she always finds different topics to chat with me about. The distance between us gradually closed, and the gap of over a decade slowly began to fill. Just when I thought these peaceful days would last forever, the system, now in human form, came knocking at my door again. That's when I realized the system was a person from this world. He works for a metaverse company, and all four of his fathers are characters from books. He said the world his fathers live in is about to collapse, and asked if I was willing to go back and see them. I asked in surprise. Me. The system nodded. He told me that after learning the truth from 3 years ago, the four fathers went mad. They first locked up Wenya and that little punk. Wenya died the same way I did. The difference was, Wenya didn't die that quickly. At the slightest sign she might die, Jiang Zhouheng would revive her with the best medicine, only to resume the torment before she could even catch her breath. The system's voice was flat, but I could still detect a hint of schadenfreude in it. It wasn't until I went through it all myself that I understood just how ruthless the methods of those four fathers could be. Death is not the scary part, a life worse than death. That's what's truly terrifying. After Wenya's death, the four fathers began to defy the world's authority, turning the entire order upside down. Their aberrant actions alerted the main system, which then came looking for the system. The system then materialized before the four of them. The four fathers told him they wanted to see me, and that if I didn't show up, the entire world would collapse. After hearing that, I thought the system would try to persuade me to go see them. To my surprise, it said, Nan, if you don't want to go, then don't. Just let that world collapse. Those four bastards deserve it. I was a bit taken aback, but I still told him I was willing to go see them, on the condition that he didn't tell Mom. I had just come back to Mom's side. If she found out I was going to see them, she'd probably get the wrong idea. But no sooner had the words left my mouth than the door was flung open. Mom stood there with tears in her eyes. Nan, I'm coming with you. Those four bastards, I entrusted you to them, not so they could mistreat you because of another child. Mom found out about the secret I'd been keeping for so long. But before we went to see my dad's, she told me she'd long suspected I wasn't happy there, because at night, I'd curl up into a ball in my sleep and even talk in my dreams, saying, I'm sorry, Dads, I won't do it again. She just never brought it up, afraid of stirring up painful memories for me. Arranged by the system, we soon met with the four fathers. Before I even pushed the villa door open, I could smell the scent of smoke and alcohol in the air. The four fathers were sitting on the sofa, their faces etched with grief. As the door opened, all four of them turned to look. Nan. Several people stood up at once and ran towards me, but just as they were about to reach me, another figure stepped in front of them. Once I got a clear look at the person before me, the four fathers were absolutely overjoyed. Shani, you're back too. 7. For a moment, the four fathers were like monkeys at the zoo, jumping for joy. Gu Yi, in particular, was so overcome with emotion he was on the verge of tears. Shani, you're here too. It's so good to see you. I never thought I'd get to see you again in this lifetime. This is wonderful. Jiang Zhouxing strode forward, his arms outstretched as if to embrace my mother and me. You've both come back. Now that you're here, you mustn't leave again. We've missed you so much. But just as his hands reached for us, my mother didn't hesitate. She slapped him across the face. Jiang Zhouxing, just how have you been looking after my child? A sudden hush fell over the scene. Gu Yi stepped forward as well. Shani, just listen to us. He didn't get to finish his sentence either. Her mother's other hand came down in another slap. Then, the remaining two dads stepped up, one after the other. Without missing a beat, I watched the scene in astonishment. Only one thought filled my mind. This is so damn satisfying. My mom is so cool. After 4 sharp slaps, 4 neat handprints appeared on the faces of the 4 dads, yet, they weren't the least bit angry. In fact, they seemed almost nostalgic. Yu Yan even offered his other cheek, saying, Shani, this side deserves a slap too. My mom, of course, gave in to them. After the fight, the atmosphere suddenly turned very strange, for grown men gathered around my mom to apologize. Shani, you have every right to be angry. We were wrong about Nanan's situation. We shouldn't have brought Winya back. But we never imagined Winya was like that. She's already dealt with us. No one will ever bully Nanan again. You and Nanan should come home. We miss you so much. They all chimed in, promising mom they'd taken care of, one by one, everyone in this world who had ever bullied me. Oh, really? Mom's gaze swept across their faces. If you've taken care of everyone, then why are the four of you still here? The four fathers were instantly rendered speechless. The mother sneered, wasn't it you who bullied my daughter all along? Wasn't it you who locked her in a dog cage? Wasn't it the four of you who hired people to hurt her? Wasn't it you who drove her to her death? All for the sake of that woman's daughter. The four men's faces instantly drained of color. Guya's lips moved slightly. Shani, we were deceived by Winya too. We genuinely treated Nanan as our daughter in the beginning. I truly believe that, ever since I was little, everyone has envied me for having four powerful, influential fathers. They spoiled me rotten. Anything I wanted, they would get for me. But in the end, they truly came to hate me. Jiang Zhouxing suddenly turned his gaze to me. He started walking towards me, and I took a frightened step back. Jiang Zhouxing let out a bitter laugh. Nanan, you're afraid of me. I'm sorry, Nanan. Dad Jiang broke his promise. I said I would protect you, that I would let you be a little princess. But in the end, he suddenly began to cry, stepping forward to grab my hand and slapping it hard against his own face. Hit me, go on, hit your dad. The truth is, I've always been so grateful to have you. We said we were raising you, but really, it was you who kept us company. 8. His words struck a chord with the other three fathers. They all turned to apologize to me, recounting past events to prove their love. Father Gu told me, actually, a lot of those things weren't said by us. Making you live in a dog cage, not letting you eat properly, those were all Winya's doing. We only meant to teach you a lesson. We never intended to abuse you. Surrounded by them, I was so frightened that I stumbled back several steps. It was Mom who steadied me and asked, Nan, what are you thinking? Are you willing to forgive them? I looked at the four fathers before me, their faces full of hope, and finally shook my head. No, I will never forgive them. That one short sentence drained all the color from the four fathers' faces. Just as they were about to speak again, a gun suddenly appeared in Mom's hand. Her voice was ice cold. Well, that simplifies things. Let's just kill them all. My heart skipped a beat at the sight of that gun. Before I could even process what was happening, Mom had already mowed down all four of them with a burst of gunfire. The four fathers seemed just as shocked by Mom's ruthless decisiveness. In their final moments, each face was a mask of utter disbelief. I stared at my mother in shock. She gave me a faint smile. Don't be afraid, they deserved it. No, that's not it. Where did you get the gun? Mom touched her nose. Before I started pursuing them, I took on another mission, fighting zombies. That explains it. With the four male leads dead, the entire world began to crumble. Mom and I returned to our original world. Mom decided to take me to visit Grandma. The moment we stepped out, we ran into the system, who had been waiting for us. He clung to us like a barnacle, saying the male leads were dead, the world had collapsed, he'd been fired by the main system, and was now homeless, begging the two of us to take him in. Mom refused and told him to get lost. The system whined pitifully, how can you just use someone and toss them aside? Didn't you say you were willing to? As if afraid I might hear something I shouldn't. Mom covered his mouth. She dragged him away by the ear to have a whispered conversation, and I had long since noticed the ambiguous tension between the two of them. In the end, Mom let the system come along with us. After we arrived at our destination, the system volunteered to carry the gifts. I finally asked Mom the question that had been weighing on my heart. Mom, who is my real father? My mother whispered a name in my ear. My eyes widened in shock. How could it be him? The end. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.